Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coin Drop Podcast, episode number 63. We are live once again. Tim, tilt your camera up just a little bit. It's kind of down.
Just a wee bit.
There we go. I didn't check that before we started. Well, we're back. Tim, how's your week been?
My back basically hurt until more or less today. It still hurts, but it's far more like doable. I can pick shit up and stuff. Other than that, I did. Nope. I played No Man's Sky for about 30 minutes today. That's all I've played.
Damn.
My time has been limited.
Clearly. My week's been up and down. A little up and down. Been a little wild. There was a fire not too far from my mother-in-law's house. She had to evac, and luckily the winds did not blow it towards her, so she was able to go back home today. The wife's pneumonia is back with a vengeance, so they put her on a stronger antibiotic, which is messing her up all kinds of bad. And now my daughter is sick, and we're not sure if she has pneumonia. So, yeah, dude, it's been a rough couple of days.
Yeah.
Moving along on the bathroom remodel, pulled off some more drywall, tore some shit out, so that's still going right along.
Nice.
And then been doing some workouts, doing some video editing, played some BG3. My buddy got me sucked back into that, so now I'm back into BG3 again. And we have some news about them later today, but let's go ahead and talk about what's on screen right now. Soulframe.
It's not just a woman where you can see her underwear.
Yeah. After birth diaper. I gotta say, kudos on them for portraying like a real woman after giving birth to a newborn.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people know this or care to know this. Women don't just shrink back down to, like, they still look pregnant for a couple of days after birth. It's all that swelling.
They're definitely smaller right away, but very, very little.
Yeah.
Like, not much.
Yeah. So, like, kudos on them for not displaying the after birth process as like, oh, she's just thin again kind of thing. And it could just be, but so good on them for that. What you're seeing right now is actually the character creation for the game. You design your mother and then inherit those features into your character, which is a very unique take on character creation. Tim and I briefly, before we started, were talking about a game where he thought it was Fallout 4, but basically you said there was a game where you create your mom and dad and then you play as a son or something like that, right?
Yeah, you play as the offspring, and it's a play on, the mother and father.
Right.
They take different traits and, throw into a character. Yeah, kind of like this.
And I vaguely remember that, but I have no idea what game it is.
Yeah, I really want to know what it is now, too.
Yeah, I can't recall. So, very important first thing to say about this game. This is not a Souls-like. It's not a Souls game.
Not a Souls-like.
It's Soulframe. Completely coincidentally, they actually, I think, Tim, you saw that they agonized over calling it that, right?
So I know I'm still being recorded and all that fun stuff, or am I still here?
You are.
Okay. My fucking computer screen went black again.
Nice.
And I don't know how to, it's recording, but the problem is the only way I know how to fix this is to close my computer and open it back up, which puts it into, rest mode for half a second. So, Mike, have fun. Sorry, everybody. I'll be right back.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Well, he's gone. We'll talk about this. So it's not a Souls-like. They actually agonized over the name Soulframe because they didn't want people comparing it to a Souls-like game, because everybody makes Souls-like games nowadays. I'm personally pretty burnt out on them and tired of them and just have lost interest in them at this point. So I'm very happy to hear that this one is not Souls-like. This is also from the same creators of Warframe, if you weren't aware.
Nope.
Yep. You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Strangely enough, my Audacity didn't stop. Nothing stopped except for Discord. Discord was like, I don't like that, but it's the only thing that stopped.
Big thumbs up.
So Mike, you don't have anything to deal with.
Well, he has.
Although,
yeah.
Maybe mute me because I started talking while he was talking, and we definitely weren't talking over each other. So maybe just mute me until this point.
Do some audio magic. It's fine.
Yeah, have some fun. Sorry.
Yep. I got to throw a few curveballs his way. So it's from the same team, Extreme something. God damn it, I can never remember their name. Extreme Dynamics is what I want to say, but that doesn't sound right. The devs of Soulframe and Warframe. Anyways, whatever. Anyways, they this is their recent demo that they showed off at TennoCon this year. This is the first gameplay footage. It's very, I think they said it was pre-alpha, if I remember correctly, in the narrative of what they're actually talking about. So it's very, very early in development, obviously. And it's also, like Warframe, going to be free to play and an MMO. So that that raises some interesting questions for me, just because from what they show, it seems very narrative and single-player journey focused. But Tim, I think you've got some more information about this game. As far as what they've said their focuses are, what the game's kind of scope is.
I wasn't really able to find a whole lot. I was able to find on the official website a couple of things they said, but nothing really concrete. Like I know it's going to be a game that sort of feels like a single player game, almost maybe in the vein of Elder Scrolls Online, where you can play it basically by yourself if you want to. But I don't know if other people are going to be roaming around. I don't know if it's going to be like Guild Wars, where there's going to be effectively servers and you can join people. I can't find really much concrete details. It seems to be a mash of various different. I don't know, the word escapes me at the moment, but like ethnic things. So like maybe some Viking in there, maybe some other stuff. Did our
No, you're still good. Still here.
No, it wasn't me. It was the video that was playing. Suddenly, I saw a blue screen with a guy.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's actually in the in the conference. They actually did that. Yeah. I think it was a transition. They probably like blacked the scene for transition or something like that. Didn't want to show something that was part done or something like that. Yeah, there's not a ton said. They said that the scope of this game is definitely more adventure and like investigating and exploring the what was the words they said, something about like the relation between mankind and nature, right? Like the intersection of how those two
I read that on a different article, and I was trying to find information on Soulframe, and I couldn't really find anything concrete.
It's not unsurprising. This dev team definitely is more tight-lipped about a lot of things. But the game, good.
So IGN apparently actually had an interview with them, and I finally just found something, and they said IGN says, "Tell me what your work on Soulframe and how the idea for the game started." And Steve Sinclair, which I assume is one of the heads for the game, says, "We wanted to make a very confusing game, so we called it Soulframe. Then we realized it should be Elden Frame, which would be less confusing, and they jokingly called it Dark Elden Frame Souls."
Yeah.
But then Sinclair steps in and says, "No, Dark Elden Frame of the Wild."
There you go. Yeah.
So they threw some Zelda in there too.
Yeah. Which they do. There's like a scene where he uses an instrument a la Ocarina of Time. Like
exactly.
Yeah. So very cool. There's also some quote unquote city builder stuff to it. So that little like spirit realm thing that he goes into, you actually find ancestors and bring them back there to have them like a blacksmith, dye guy. That's how you get stuff that like how you progress, I guess, armor making, weapon making, different colors, things like that. I think he actually unlocks the dye smith in this gameplay. But it's definitely a unique combat system that's also kind of generic. Like that seems weird, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like
just watching the combat, it's so different from Warframe.
Very. Yeah, it's incredibly different. And this is again pre-alpha. This is early concept stuff. Yeah. They actually made a mention on their website for their devlog. Like, remember, like it for those of you who haven't been Warframe fans for a long time or don't know this team, they didn't add the bullet jump to Warframe until 3 years into the development of that game. And that's like an iconic move for Warframe. That is like so fundamental to the movement system of Warframe. It didn't exist until 3 years into development. So this game is going to change significantly, likely, by the time we see a finished product. Because if that's the like I don't know. That's the creativity this team has. They're willing to take risks and try different things and like experiment. And sometimes that pays off, and you find these incredibly like important movements, like or just concepts or systems or whatever the case may be. So keep in mind this is very early footage.
Yeah, it's not just early footage, but it's also just like it's a very different design concept. So
Yes.
like if you look at Warframe is meant to be like super fast-paced lightning action where you're just everything's moving at all the times and you got to be quick on your feet and everything else. This game, they actually stated that they really wanted to slow things down and really let the player think about every action. So it has a much more deliberate combat system where you have to take into account everything that's going on and everything that's happening to you, as well as what you are doing to the characters or enemies. I mean, dodging and parrying and all that other stuff. It's way slower than Warframe, and so the intent is for you to be, I guess, deliberate. Like I said,
I suppose for those of you who are audio listeners, I should describe the game a little bit more. It is set in kind of like I wouldn't say high fantasy setting, but it's a definite fantasy setting. It is not sci-fi at all. And the color palette is very muted. It's very earthy. Very, very like grounded color frame. It's very cool. In contrast to this, the like astral plane thing that it goes to also has like a significant amount more color to it. So like it has that cool contrast between like the spirit realm and then this, and then here you've got your little ocarina scene that he does. Fuck these characters too. Their hands aren't what? Discriminatory?
Okay, characters to these hands aren't discriminatory. That has to have been referencing.
I don't know what that was. Anyways, I do like. The one thing I was worried about when I first watched this is this a Souls-like, right? Because Tim and I discussed this slightly before the podcast. We're pretty burnt out on those. I'm over them. Mm-hmm. They're not my favorite. I think the Souls-light, like you said, Stellar Blade, Star Wars Fallen Order, did it best because they're not overly brutal for the sake of being brutal. They're challenging but rewarding. So, I like that in this, when you die, you actually inherit the body of a bird and have to fly back to your body. Like, it feels very early EverQuest WoW style of like, this is your punishment for dying. Go fly back and get your body.
So I found a list that gives a very gist of what the game is. So it's an upcoming free-to-play cooperative action RPG from Digital Extremes. There's your developer name. It's got a fantasy setting, which is... It doesn't specify what type of fantasy setting, and I believe they're taking multiple different.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique fantasy. This doesn't feel.
It's not just Viking or just American or whatever. They take multiple different things. It has a class-based gameplay, which you can choose from various classes, each with unique abilities and playstyles.
Awesome.
It has a cooperative play, which it's designed for cooperative play, allowing players to team up with friends and such and explore the world and complete quests. The dynamic combat of the game is fast-paced and a variety of weapons and abilities and all that stuff. Exploration, apparently it's got a vast open world with quests and discovering new locations and stuff of that sort. Character customization, which we've seen already in the beginning, but that also includes with weapons and cosmetics and gear and all that other stuff. And sadly, the last thing is just the fact that there's no release date yet.
Yeah, so, it's probably going to be a while, but it is going to be free to play too. Which is and of all of the companies that have done free to play, they have done free to play the most right, in my opinion.
They've probably done it. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, you can buy power in Warframe. They've designed it in such a way where like basically they've done it the way everyone hates it, but they've also done it the way everybody likes it, and so people sort of like accept the way that nobody likes it because the game is so damn good, and they give you the option to not do it the way that people don't like it. It's so weird because if any other game does it or even talks about it or even thinks about it, they're like, oh, this game's a piece of shit, cancel it or don't play it or whatever.
There's one key thing that Warframe does that no other microtransaction game does. Warframe, you can trade the premium currency. That's what it is.
That's a big
so
difference.
when you get items that are worth something, actually worth something, you trade them for premium currency, which is why that system works so well. Because they allowed the currency to be traded. Somebody still has to spend the money, right? Like, it's still coming into the economy somewhere. It's just not coming from everyone. Right? So the reason they've made it work so well is because you can still either buy your platinum, or if you get a really good card or whatever the hell they were, I can't remember what the actual terms were for it, but if you get a really good item or a great freaking Warframe, like a Prime or something like that, you can trade that for actual platinum. So you don't have to spend the money. You can just grind and get the premium currency to buy power.
Yeah.
And realistically, like, buying power, quote unquote, because you're buying Warframes or speeding up the build of the Warframe, and then the majority of everything else is just cosmetic. Like, there's a ton of cosmetics. So buying power, kind of. Like, it's definitely skirting that line, but it's definitely not as bad as other microtransactions we've seen. So
Yeah. So, actually, you said this game's not coming out anytime soon, and it's actually slated for sometime later this year, as far as the release window goes.
To be fair, I was speculating that I didn't think it was
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, they're saying sometime in late 2024, which, with that bit of information, there's actually a lot of people on Reddit and such that are basically saying, let's stop pretending that this is the full release. This is going to be an alpha, probably at best.
Yeah. It'll be early access for sure.
It's going to be an early access, but this person expects it to be in an early access state, although the gameplay does look pretty darn polished. There's a little bit about it that looks maybe a little bit stiff, but ultimately I think it looks really darn good.
Yeah.
In a good state, I mean.
Yeah, I agree. I think graphically the game looks impressive. I like the art direction. The animations need some work, but that can be cleaned up over time. The overall scope of the game looks really cool. I'm really interested in finding more about why I've got a blue arm. That's interesting to me.
Yep.
Overall,
Ultimately, what I'm looking at is not just what we're seeing, but knowing what the developer has done with just Warframe over the last 10 years, because it's been 10 years. Like, they've so significantly added to that game in drastic ways, not just new zones, but like new gameplay styles and abilities and basically ways to play the game so much differently. Yes, and story.
The game launched with no story, and they have built multiple since its launch.
I've got no doubt that this game will significantly change over time, and for the better. And more than likely, it's also going to launch in a pretty decent state, even though it'll be more than likely a early access title, but it's going to be much better than some random nobody that releases in early access.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I have full faith in this team. I think they do great work. I'm excited to see what they do. I still need to go back to Warframe because they made Warframe 1999, which sounds fucking awesome. Looks awesome. I really want to play it because it really is like that line to Dark Sector 2. Like, it's that close to Dark Sector 2, and it just Dark Sector was such a good game. Anyways, speaking of good games, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. We talked about this on the Patreon side last week, not this specific topic, but Monster Hunter Wilds. So, I don't know if this is a common thing, and if it is, I realize I would never make it in the industry, because apparently
I suspect it's common.
You might be right. Capcom, I think, deserves a big round of applause for their patience. Yeah, patience.
Jinx.
They are surrounded by stupid investors.
Yep.
Recently, they did an investor call after Games Fest or Gamescom, Summer Games Show, whatever it was, where they showed the new trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds, which game looks amazing. They talked about kind of some of their ambitious goals with it. We went over some of that on our Patreon side last week. If you want to hear more about that, head over to patreon.com/coindroppod, and you can hear all of that content over there, as well as all of our other episodes, plus get them a day early. So if you want to check that out, check that out. Plus, it's cheap. It's like $3 to support us on its lowest tier, and that helps us make this show and do more things.
Yeah.
So, they had an investor call, and they had to field stupid questions like, "Will this game be?"
When we say stupid, we mean stupid freaking questions. These guys have no idea what they're talking about, and they're allowed on investor calls because they give a little bit of money to the game.
An actual question posed to Capcom was, quote, will this game be limited to these non-portable consoles? Yeah. It's not coming to Switch. It could not come to Switch. Yep. So Capcom, in their incredible show of patience, basically said, one concept we've incorporated into this title is aiming to portray the maximum of the world of Monster Hunter by utilizing the latest technology to its limits. To that end, the platforms capable of realizing that concept are currently the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
Yep.
Sorry, Nintendo, it's not coming. It can't.
As I've said many times, fuck you guys. I'm sorry. Fuck you, Switch. But in this case, it's just simply because the Switch is too old, and when it came out, it was old technology.
Yes.
By default, it has to be. It was a handheld, a glorified handheld.
Yes.
And I mean, I wouldn't be. I've been saying this a lot lately as well. I wouldn't be surprised if this game's in development for the Switch too. Like it has to. Nintendo and Capcom have a huge relationship, especially with Monster Hunter, and the Switch 2 is supposed to be a fairly capable handheld device, especially with the DLSS being thrown in there. That'll allow them to do a lot more. Sure, it'll probably still be downgraded, but even still, it should be capable.
I imagine Switch 2 will be on par with the Steam Deck, honestly, in terms of like processing power. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be better than the Steam Deck. I genuinely don't.
I can see it being a little bit, especially with the DLSS and probably FSR as well.
We'll see. But I could see it being on par with the Steam Deck. I would be impressed if it's better than the Steam Deck. Deck, but Nintendo doesn't really push the boundaries of tech, which is why I could see it being on par with the Steam Deck, because by the time it comes out, the Steam Deck will be old. I could see it being on, but that's just me. Anyways, Monster Hunter, so they had to field that stupid question. Following that, I gotta love Capcom, man. They are just Zen masters or something. They got another question saying, let's see. Oh, here we go. I'll just quote the whole article in this one. Spectacularly, that was a hard word for me, apparently. Spectacularly, Capcom was also asked why it wouldn't just bump up Monster Hunter Wild's release date from 2025 to December of 2024 in order to, quote, capture more profits. Capcom's response, we'll release once preparations are complete. So good on you, Capcom. Ready. I couldn't do it, dude. I would literally reach through the phone and choke someone. Like, are you fucking retarded? Are you fucking God damn.
Unfortunately, a lot of people are retarded.
Well, especially investors, right? Like, all they care about is their bottom line. I wouldn't be surprised if these investors don't even know what it takes to make a video game, because they're just seeing dollar signs, right? Like, they just know it makes money.
They're seeing the likes of games like GTA 6 or 5 rather, and how much money they rake in, and they're like, all the games should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And don't know anything about how, say, single player games work or multiplayer games or smaller multiplayer games like, say, this one versus a game like Throne and Liberty or Final Fantasy 14 or whatever. Like,
right.
Yeah, they're stupid and ignorant and have no idea what they're talking about, and they just want to, like you said, see dollar signs.
Yeah. That being said, Monster Hunter Wilds is shaping up to be a very ambitious and big title, very similarly to how ambitious Monster Hunter World was, because of how they're pushing the tech, right? We talked about it on Patreon, but they are doing a dynamic weather system where they're going to have ever-changing climates where the environments change, and you're going to have like hostile environments and then like flourishing environments, and you never know which one you're going to get. You're also going to have the biggest environment they've ever made. It sounds like they haven't clarified, as far as I can tell, they haven't clarified that it's one big zone, but it kind of seems to suggest that they're doing one big zone.
They had clarified that.
I couldn't find anything that specifically says it's one large open world. So I haven't seen that worded that way anywhere. They've said large. They've said the region is vibrant. Like they pose it like it's one, right? So it could be, but they haven't openly said it's one.
Well, according to Polygon on May 30th,
Yeah, how
it says
fucking accurate are they?
yeah, exactly. But their little blurb is, since Monster Hunter Wilds will have a fully open world, fans can expect more freewheeling exploration through much bigger maps and biomes, etc. and so on.
I'm on their website right now, and I haven't seen anything that actually says free open
I
world.
just Googled,
Yeah.
is Monster Hunter Wilds
Yeah.
a single open world, and that's what popped up. That's the blurb that popped up at the top of Google. So, although just below that, a Reddit conversation on the Monster Hunter Reddit says, I don't think Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be a completely
It's
open
not.
world. So now I'm...
Here's how I know it's not, because I just read this blurb on their website. As a member of the research commission charged with investigating the Forbidden Lands, the the Windward Plains is the first new hunting locale you'll visit. First new hunting locale. Forbidden Lands.
But that doesn't mean it's not open world. That means it's the first open or the first new locale to the series.
Well, I mean, you could say that
Could be misconstrued as that.
Yeah. To me, that tells me this is the new ancient forest from Monster Hunter World. Like, that's what it tells me, is it's a zone. If it is open, I mean, awesome. But
even Eurogamer, which I trust them, they're saying that it's reportedly fully open world.
I'm cool with it if it is.
Yeah, I mean that would change a lot of how the game works. I mean,
Yep. Mike says it here. Every Monster Hunter game has a main hub with an area-ish, arena-ish area that, yeah. I mean,
it's always had some like zones. Basically, you've got your main hub, and then you got different zones that you can hop into, and then the biomes might be different, the monsters might be different, etc. Being completely and utterly fully open world, which to be fair, Monster Hunter World, you'd think it would be one open world, but
they were definitely bigger zones. So
they were the biggest zones the series has ever seen. But now it seems like possibly it will be one singular open world. It also makes me wonder how the storyline's going to play out. And if you look at this, the cutscenes look to be like very pointed and direct, more so than I remember in Monster Hunter.
Yeah, they were never that. And your protagonist has a voice now. It's the first time in Monster Hunter history that you have a fully voiced protagonist. So that's cool too. I don't know. Their website does not specifically say open world, so I am hesitant to call it that. I see nothing that verifies that. But I personally hope it is. Speculating, I don't think it is, but I hope it is. That'd be pretty cool. It would really be interesting for Monster Hunter. They're also doing all kinds of other crazy stuff. You're going to be able to carry 2 weapons, which is, what the hell? That is such a massive game-changing mechanic that's going to completely just alter everything when it comes to Monster Hunter. The game looks great, and on top of all of these awesome new ideas and new things they're trying, it is going to be cross-play day one. That means, Tim, if you want to buy it on PS5, I'll see you on my PC. Like, full cross-play. I just hope they integrate the co-op a lot better than they did World, because, God, it's so bad in World.
That's the one thing that, like, I don't understand. There's some games that have implemented playing with other people so well for so long, since like PS2 days. Yeah. Yet there's still games that release, this year that make playing together so fucking difficult.
Yeah.
Even Elden Ring has terrible co-op. Like, I don't get it. Why does it have to be so freaking hard? It's something that, yes, I really wish that they would fix.
Yeah, Mike makes a good point here. He says, I mean, Monster Hunter devs have wanted to go open world. Rise was a vertical evolution. You had a lot of like traversal things you could do. Yeah. So why not just say, fuck it, balls to the wall, open world? Again, I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying from everything on their website, it doesn't
they don't specifically state it.
So all of these people who are saying it's confirmed, I would like to see your source, because I'm not seeing it. But I hope it is.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yep.
Although I did just ask an AI again, and they say it's not. It's going to be a series of interconnected, very large areas.
That's kind of my thoughts.
But they also don't give me any sources, so I don't know how accurate this particular AI is. But in any case,
just the way this is framed on their website, it suggests to me that it's going to be similar to Monster Hunter World, but bigger, obviously. Absolutely bigger. Let's talk about similar.
So speaking of bigger.
Yeah, bigger and similar, but better. Fallout London. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Hold on, what? Right? Like, that's not a Fallout game. You're right, because it's a mod. It's a mod. It is a free mod for Fallout 4 on PC. Let me be clear, you console peasants. BB. Let me BB clear. You console peasants, I'm sorry, get a PC. It doesn't take one that's very new to run Fallout 4 at this point. It was in 2015, so like you'd probably run this on a toaster.
Yeah.
A group of highly dedicated, highly skilled modders, writers, 3D animation artists, just everybody that makes up a video game studio have been working on a mod for Fallout 4 for a very long time.
An indie game studio that isn't an indie game studio basically decided to make a full game using Fallout 4's framework, but not
none of
assets.
None of the assets.
Not assets.
They might have some.
Except for at the very least animations. Animation quality looks to be about exactly the same.
Yeah.
Which that's completely fair. Me and Russ talked about this before the episode. That's much harder to do than assets.
Yeah.
Than what walls or buildings and stuff look like. But in any case, most everything is new in this game. New storyline, new voice acting, new quests, new world, like all of it. And it's an impressive piece of work.
Not only is it a new storyline, it's a real full game. It's 20 hours of main quest. 20 hours. This is a full Fallout game. So many people are looking at this going, dude, this is Fallout 4.5. Like, this is a full expansion game. This is completely built from the ground up to resemble what London would look like in the Fallout universe. And I gotta tell you, it is the most phenomenal love letter to any franchise I've ever seen. And the fact that Bethesda let this happen, and the fact that Microsoft let this happen, because this project's been in the work for many years, but ultimately
we've known about it for a long time.
But ultimately Microsoft, after the acquisition of Bethesda, could have said cease and desist, fuck you guys. So
and Mike, you're right, it is a whole new game, but same old jank. Honestly, you have more faith in these guys to release this without so many bugs. I have more faith in these guys.
I feel like since they are the people that fix the jank from Bethesda, I feel like they're probably releasing not jank.
They're the ones that fix Bethesda's games, therefore they can make a better Bethesda game than Bethesda. So I'm not,
theoretically.
I mean, there's probably going to be some bugs because they don't have the ability to focus test and all that stuff beforehand.
Yeah, and it is out now.
But at the same time, they fixed the Bethesda bugs, and this is on the Bethesda Fallout 4 framework, and therefore...
Yeah, so this is going to span a massive amount of very interesting ideas, and I don't know, dude. There's some stuff in here that sounds really cool. It takes place in London. It's a smaller section. You've got, people from the stuffy Parliament aristocrats to the resurrection of the Knights of the Old Round Table. That sounds dope.
It looks awesome.
To an uncompromising cult of revolutionaries. So, there's a lot going on in this world. They've done a really good job making it feel and look alive in a post-apocalyptic way. So, I gotta be honest, I'm blown away. I've known about this project for a long time. I haven't followed it at all, but seeing what they've done is incredibly impressive. And
just looking at the launch trailer, I'm like, I want to play this. And the fact that I have Fallout 4 already means I can play this.
Yep. For those of you listening to this podcast right now, if you go to linktree.com/coindropvets, that is our new link tree I just built. This video, the podcast, all the audio, every link we have to anything ever is on there. You can go straight to the VOD when this airs. Hopefully it comes out next Wednesday. That's going to depend on Mike and how he feels. But if you want to see what we're talking about, that's going to be your quickest, easiest way to get over to our YouTube VODs and check it out.
Stop being sick, Mike. Get shit done on time.
Stop it. Just kidding. So there is one bit of a hang-up with Fallout London. If you have the Steam version of this game, you have to downgrade your copy, and that's not something that's easily done. The reason you have to downgrade it is because Fallout pushed a HD texture overhaul or something like that, so you have to roll it back because it doesn't, it breaks Fallout.
Yeah, the HD texture thing was pretty new, and they were building this on the old version of it, so you have to get rid of it.
The trick with that is if you go to the Nexus Mod Manager, it has a step to do that. But you have to give them your Steam username and password. And that's a huge red flag. I know what you're saying. Whoa, hold up. What the fuck? That sounds scammy as shit. You're right. It does. There are steps which they provide you right there how to do it manually. I've looked at them, and they're complex. So, in the interest of being perfectly clear here, I want to make sure I'm very specific with my words. I do not think that this is unsafe to give them the access to your Steam account. Would I do it personally? No. I would go with the manual version and try to figure that out personally. Yep. The reason I don't think this is dangerous is I think this is just the nature of a mod this size. We're talking... I tried to find out exactly how big the mod is.
It's probably like 30 to 50 gigabytes.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And so the nature of the intricacy from what it says to do in the manual steps to roll back your game, my guess is this login that they do for your Steam account is to do it automatically. They're doing the manual rollback for you, but they're doing it so you don't have to. Yeah. That's why they're requesting it. Now, if you don't want to give them that, 100% totally understand. I'm still a little, knowing what I know, I'm still pretty hesitant about it and probably won't do it. So you have two options. If you're tech savvy, or think you might be tech savvy, or have a tech savvy friend, try and go with the manual. Your other option, buy the game on GOG because they didn't get the HD texture update, and you can just slap that mod on there and call it a done deal. So those are basically your two choices. If you get it on GOG, you can just install the Fallout London mod and not have to worry about it. If you have it on Steam, you got some work to do and a decision to make. I don't think it's unsafe to give them access. I still personally wouldn't do it, but that's kind of what you're looking at to play Fallout London.
And just an FYI, Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition on Good Old Games GOG is currently $16. Normally it's $40.
That's a good price tag to play a brand new game that you've never played before.
Mm-hmm. And you'll have access to Fallout 4 base and all of its major DLC if you never played them.
Yep.
And yeah,
so theoretically,
that's not a big asking price.
So theoretically, you're getting two games for the price of one.
Yep.
Not a bad deal. So yeah, that's kind of just the hesitation. I would caution anyone. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into before you go messing with system files. With games, most of the time you're okay. Just be very careful. The worst thing that's going to happen is you have to scrub your game and reinstall. But it's still a hassle, right? So if you think you're capable of doing it, by all means, give it a shot. Get it done. If not, maybe consider buying it on Good Old Games or doing the auto update. I don't know that I would do the auto update. I think I'd spend the $16 for safety, but I've spent like hundreds of dollars on my Steam account. So if you only have like 5 games on your Steam account,
hundreds is probably very, very conservative.
I don't want to think about how much money is in my Steam account, dude. All right, so those are kind of our big topics for tonight. We've got some quickfire news for you. Tim, do you want to start us off on that?
Yeah, okay, so the first one is Tales of Xillia, which was a PS2 Tales game? PS3.
I think Xillia was PS3, yeah.
Yeah, there was 2 of them, actually. There's rumors that they're getting remastered for modern platforms as well as last-gen platforms, as well as the Switch, everything, basically.
I gotta say, I'm a little annoyed by that because I would much rather see Tales of Vesperia or Tales of Symphonia get that treatment than a game that came out 2 gens ago.
Yeah, I agree. Although Tales of Xillia were really good. I
need to play it then. I never played it. I was a huge fan of Vesperia and Symphonia.
If you haven't played Tales of Arise yet, oh my god, it's $10 right now. Go buy it. It's so fucking good.
I can't get over the art style. It moved weirdly.
It's so good. It's so good.
Maybe one day.
I absolutely adored it. Anyways, next bit of news. Baldur's Gate 3, they had a patch number 7 coming out soon, but it was delayed because it effectively broke the game.
Yep.
The passive rolls, which happen behind the scenes, you don't get to see them. They literally broke They broke and you couldn't. They were not working correctly. So, like I said, they broke the whole game.
Some of them you do see. So, like when you're wandering around, when you do like passive survival checks, they'll actually pop up and show whether you failed or succeed. But yeah, it broke. And so, patch 7, which for those of you who don't know, is bringing native mod support and native mod
nice.
tools. Like it's not the last patch, but it's a pretty big, important patch coming. It's delayed, unfortunately, because the game doesn't work now.
Yeah, right. Can't break it for people. That'd piss off a lot of people, even though they're technically not really all that involved with it anymore. But in any case, speaking of delays, Stalker 2 has been delayed again. Although in this case, it's only 2 months, so it's not that big a deal.
Did they give a reason why?
Just for polishing.
Okay.
I didn't really see, but only 2 months. It's got to be for polish. I can't really see any other reason.
I just wondered if the war over there was affecting development still, or continuously, or something along those lines. So
yeah, I didn't read the specific reason, but
2 months doesn't seem
a small 2 month delay can't be for anything serious, obviously.
Right.
The next one, which is my personal favorite bit of news that I'm like, please don't play with my heart this way. But at Comic-Con recently, there were some figurines of Kane and
Soul Reaver.
Is that his name?
Well, his name is Raziel?
Raziel, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, Raziel, that's what it is. Yeah, no. So there were statues of them at Comic-Con, and on the little bust below their statue, it says Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. And it's like, wait, what? Yep. What? Remastered? What?
Yep.
And there's been no confirmation yet, sadly, but the fact that there's like a whole like art design for it and everything, like it's got to be a leak. But again, it's got to be that's got to be on purpose. There's no way that was on accident.
I mean, those statues are commissioned by artists, right? Like they're not made in house, so maybe.
But why would they give these artists the information to call it remastered? Why not just Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know. Maybe it was a leak. Maybe it was a leak on purpose. Maybe it's a sculpture to test the waters, to see what people like us say about it. So to see to gauge the community react. Like there's a bunch of things it could be. But for me, stop, and just release it. Just give it to me. I want it. Give it now. Redo Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen as well, and Defiance while you're at it. Like, do the whole. Give me the package. Do all of it. Give me the package.
Give me the sequel too. Give me the third one, please.
Yes, God, fuck.
My main question about it is: would it be a remaster where it's like better resolution and frame rate with maybe a little bit of textures here and there, or is it gonna be like ground up remake? Kind of remaster.
Going with what we know about terminology, my guess is it would be in line with, like you said, Beyond Good and Evil remaster.
Yeah. Which is a decent upgrade.
It's an acceptable upgrade. I personally would rather see full remakes of them in the vein of Final Fantasy VII, because like, God, Soul Reaver was so fun, dude.
Yeah,
I would love to see Legacy of Kain remade. That game was fun as hell, and that was on PS1.
Soul Reaver was my more favorite, but Legacy of Kain was pretty great.
Yeah, Blood Omen, I guess they're all the Legacy of Kain. So,
talking about more disappointment, Xbox Series X is selling poorly, so much so that it's actually trailing the Xbox One and the 360 in unit sales.
Jesus.
So maybe there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing.
Yep.
Or they're doing it to themselves on purpose for Game Pass subscriptions. I don't know. Next is Rockstar has basically said calm down on your anticipation for GTA 6 because it won't be a whole lot different from 5. But I suspect that most people won't be too upset with that.
Yeah.
But that I sort of take that to be like a good thing for most people. Most people are like, oh great, I love 5. But I guess they're trying to say like they're not gonna like super reinvent the wheel. Why not just keep what works?
Yeah, like I said before we started, GTA 5 was a huge leap forward in technological capabilities and just making a world feel alive versus 4 and other games like it. And I don't think 6 is going to make that same level of leap. I think this is the polish.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of, well, actually, no, I can't think of a good segue on this one. Stellar Blade got a summer update, and it had some new limited time zones.
Of polish, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of polish, because this is a significantly polished game. In any case, like I said, summer update that's going to have a new limited time zone that's going to allow you to basically sunbathe. You can be hot in new bikinis because there's now 2 new swimsuit outfits.
Yeah, waifus.
Exactly. My question is will you be able to earn those after this or not? But I probably won't get around to it until after it's not available anymore. But anyways, speaking of the disappointment that you'd get by not getting those outfits, Terrible. Anyways, we talked about this a little bit last week. Concord, Sony's Overwatch-like game, they have basically laid out their post-launch plans. The game will not have a battle pass. It will not have microtransactions. It will have post-launch content such as new characters, new maps, new modes, new guns, all that other fun stuff, and those will all be free to everybody. I believe there'll be cosmetics that you can pay for if you choose. They basically, the way they worded this is they said they want you to own Concord. They don't want Concord to own you.
I can respect that.
You don't have to be a slave to the battle pass and constantly playing at all times. It'll be accessible to you regardless.
I can respect that.
I know that. Yeah, and I know they plan on releasing storyline every week via little like cutscenes, basically. And so they're going to kind of give you a storyline that's going on while you play the game, which I think is actually kind of cool. That's one of the things about online only games. Like what the hell is that game that the guys that made Jedi Survivor? What's the first person shooter that they made after Call of Duty?
Titanfall.
There you go. Titanfall, the first one in any case, it was supposed to be kind of like this, where the storyline was supposed to be while you play, and it was poor if you ask me. Although Titanfall 2 was amazing, but that was a single player storyline. Anyways. Concord is sounds like they're doing all the right things, but also the fact that it's not free and they struggled to get players on the beta. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes free to play or gets delayed or something. And then the last bit of news, yet more disappointment. Netflix's BioShock movie basically saw a serious reduction in funding, and therefore the movie itself saw a significant reduction in scope. And they didn't really specify exactly what that meant, other than the fact that it's going to be a more personal storyline now. But that's about all we know. So it's no longer going to be a big budget film. It's now going to be something much smaller, which means not necessarily bad, but not as great as we hoped it to be. Guess we'll see.
Well, I have one more thing to add to this, to add a little bit of ray of sunshine to the otherwise shit news you just dumped on everybody.
Yeah. There's a lot of it.
Asper Entertainment, the guys who are also working on KOTOR, are also working on Star Wars Bounty Hunter Remake. And they have confirmed that the long-rumored legacy, spoken in dark whispers, Boba Fett will be in the game as a playable skin. There was rumors way back when the game originally released that you'd be able to unlock Boba Fett, just like how there was a gun in Ocarina.
Expected it to be, of course.
Just like how there was a gun in Ocarina of the Time if you beat it fast enough, right? So those locker room whispers, right? Asper is making that a reality. So in Star Wars Bounty Hunter, you will be able to unlock and play as Boba Fett. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. That is a nice addition. I like it.
Yep. So that is going to wrap it up for us today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching or listening or however you're joining us. Make sure you head over to our Linktree again, linktree.com/coindropvets. We've got all of our links there for merch, for Patreon, for our individual YouTubes. Everything you could possibly want related to us and our show can be found there now. And if you're going to PAX, I'll be there handing out business cards. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And to our patrons, we'll be back in just a minute. Have a great night.
Tell your mama said hi.
There it is.